Hello everybody, this is Karen Weingard, and I am here to share the instructions for the Turkish Map Fold Starbook. It's a really cool project that we did at Retreat. So the first step would be to grab your red, inside cover piece, and with a scored board that has the 1/8 inch measurements, your first score is going to be at 4 1/8, then 4 1/2, and 4 7/8. So once you've got the scoring complete, that's really all you need the score board for, so you can go ahead and set that aside. Now if you take a look at the scores, you always want to fold the bump for the inside. So go ahead and fold that in half. You want to make sure the bumps are on the inside, so we are creating what we call a mountain fold. So just line up those edges and burnish. So you can see it forms a mountain peak, so that is a mountain fold. Next, you want to fold the outer score lines into a valley fold. So you're basically just reversing those. This time the bump is not on the inside, even though we like to keep that rule in general. And then just burnish those folds. You can see what you end up with is kind of this M shape here. So you have a mountain in the inside and 2 valley folds, depending on how you hold it. So that's our inside cover structure all set. Next, you should have 5 inside pages. They're made out of this craft, and you can see if you take a look carefully that one side of the craft paper is a little bit darker than the other. So take each of these craft pages and you're going to fold them in half horizontally with the dark side facing out. You can see here the dark side is on the outside. And burnish that fold really well. Now we want to open this up and we're going to fold so that the dark is on the inside of the folds. And you're going to take the corners to corners and fold on the diagonal. Again, we're burnishing every fold really well with the bone folding tool. Open that up, and now we're going to take the opposite corners and fold corner to corner on the diagonal. So now when I open this up, you can see if I kind of raise and let this do what it naturally wants to do, everything's going to tuck to the center. So those 2 outside folds here want to fold into the center, and you're going to collapse it to form this triangle shape. So you can see now I have a triangle. Okay. The next step is to take each of these pointed corners and we're going to fold it towards the center of the project here. So if you take the tip, you can kind of see if you take a peek underneath or inside the book, you want to fold this tip so it meets up with the dead center of the bottom of the triangle. And then you're going to take the opposite corner and meet up with that so that it also is folded, so that the tips are meeting in the very center of the base of the triangle. Go ahead and flip the project over and repeat those steps on the opposite side. And again, burnishing all the folds very carefully. So now you can see I kind of have this house shape with these pointy triangles sticking out. So I'm going to gently unfold each of those. And at this point, we're going to reverse those folds. So if you just gently lift the booklet open, you can see if I just take this corner, just the corner, and kind of tuck it in, we're reversing that middle fold. So now those pointy triangles are going to be on the inside of that map folded piece. So just lift the corner, reverse the center fold to tuck it inside. Hopefully that's showing up pretty well here for you. So lift and tuck just the center to collapse. And finally the last one, you're going to do that with all 4 corners so that all of the tips you can see now end up on the inside of the book and you have this outer house shape. Go ahead and repeat that with all 5 8x8 craft inside pages. Once you've folded all 5 inside pages, it's time to glue each of these together. So using a needle tip applicator with our bookbinding glue, we're going to actually take the glue and run a bead along the edges of the house shape. being careful to miss the peak. Do you see how I'm ending the glue there? So you're going to trace the outer edges of that house shape, but you want to leave a little bit at the top where you don't have any glue. Bring in a second piece or a second inside page and just lay that right on top, aligning all the edges to make sure that it is straight. Repeat those steps until you have all 5 inside pages glued together. Once you have all 5 of the inside pages adhered together, you're going to go ahead and set that aside. Next, locate your mat board pieces and the blue outside covers. It's time to wrap these mat boards so that we have a nice finished cover. You can use bookbinding glue and a foam brush, or you can use your needle tip applicator. Just make sure you're spreading quite a bit of glue here. So whichever you prefer, just get a lot of glue on that mat board side and then lay that in the center of the blue outside cover. And this cover has kind of a texture to it, so just make sure that you're leaving the texture on the outside of the project. Repeat with that second cover. I just love this glue tip applicator. It just is so useful for so many different things. Once you have your covers glued into place, it's time to miter the corners. At this point, you want to make sure that you're cutting off the corners at a 45-degree angle, but you want to leave a little bit of a tip exposed there. You don't want to cut right up against that mat board. So if anything, just kind of err on the side of caution, leaving a little more than you think you might need to. So trim all 4 corners on both covers. Once both cover pieces have the mitered corners, start training the flaps to wrap around that bookboard piece. This just will help with the gluing process, making it a little bit easier to get the paper to do what you want it to do. And repeat that for both cover pieces. I'm going to whip these papers into shape. Okay, once all the flaps are trained, you can go ahead and use your foam brush and bookbinding glue or your needle tip applicator and make sure that you're getting plenty of glue on each flap. I like to glue the opposing flaps first. I just think it adds a little something, gives more of a finished look to the corners. And again, I am tucking in each of these corners on the flaps here. So before I glue the opposite corners, I'm just using the tip of my bone folding tool to tuck in any stray outside corner pieces so I don't get kind of a pointy thing at the corners. Pointy thing, that's a technical term for sure. But you can see how nice a finished edge you get if you tuck those corners in. Sometimes with the needle tip applicator, just making sure that you're getting enough glue to those outside edges. Once both covers are wrapped, you can set those aside so they can kind of dry up. Next, grab your inside pages that have already been glued together and your inside red cover piece. If you recall, this has this cute little mountain fold on the inside of the booklet. In preparation for gluing, I want you to go ahead and dry fit the inside cover or the inside pages into the inside cover. The way this is going to work is you want to make sure that the tips of the inside pages are resting upon, you want to just go between 2 of the inside pages and the tip will rest. So it actually, that mountain fold on the inside of the book will be between pages 3 and 4, or 4, however that works, 3 and 4 I believe it is. So with that tip aligned inside with the mountain fold, you can close up the booklet and just kind of straighten everything out so that the inside pages don't stick out, hopefully, from the top and bottom. So very carefully, while maintaining that position of the inside mountain fold, you can now take the tip of your needle tip applicator and some glue and trace that whole outside edges and a little bit of the interior. And then very carefully fold that cover right back down again. And you have a few moments before the glue will set up to make adjustments if necessary. While holding the booklet closed, go ahead and flip it over and repeat those steps with the second cover piece. You can see my tip is still tucked in, so I haven't lost my place on that. And gluing around the perimeter and some extra glue in the center so that my inside cover piece, or my inside cover, has good adhesion with my inside pages. So now you can see the interior of my booklet is all assembled. You should have a ribbon in your kit, and it's long enough to wrap all the way around the book. So the way we're going to do this is just wrap it around the spine, and you want it so that the tails are fairly even here. It should be centered top to bottom, and you want to make sure that you don't get it too tight at the spine, because when this booklet opens up, you can see there's a lot of leeway there. So while you're gluing, you just want to leave a little bit of slack at the spine. So once you get everything aligned, just use that needle tip applicator to add glue and then glue that ribbon into place. So just do the one side and then flip it over and do the other. Again, just a reminder to leave a little bit of slack at that spine edge. You can see I'm a little bit loose there. Okay, now you want to grab your outside cover pieces, and before gluing anything down, you just want to kind of test drive this, just dry fit it. The way this is going to work is the inside cover pieces, or the inside of the book, will actually be glued to the outside cover so that 3 sides have about 1/8 of an inch exposed. So the spine edge, where the ribbon is and where the spine is, should be flush. So you will have it all flush like a book sitting on a bookshelf. You wouldn't want anything sticking out like that. So just make sure when you're adding the glue that you are flush at the spine side with about 1/8 inch border on the remaining 3 sides. And again, a foam brush with our regular bookbinding glue or the needle tick applicator, just making sure that you're getting glue all the way around the perimeter and plenty in the center. So I'm just going to flip this whole thing over and making sure I'm flush at the spine side, and the remaining parts of the cover have about 1/8 inch reveal on the remaining 3 sides. So just burnish that into place. And repeat that with your second cover. I find it easier if you lay it down onto, so that you can kind of eyeball everything. And a little tap will make sure that the spine is flush and the top and bottom covers are lined up nicely for you. Now you can see our book is fully assembled. Inside pages are all attached together and attached to the cover pieces. Really cute project. Now to make it even cuter, you should have a piece of, or a 12 by 12 sheet of cut-aparts that are included in your kit. And you can use this with your paper trimmer. If you look carefully, you'll notice that there are registration marks on the white areas of the colored cut-aparts. So just use those as guidelines to trim these up in your paper trimmer. When you do that, you will end up with the inside of your book will have plenty of room for those interior shapes, because you can see this makes a very unique shape on the inside. So you have coordinating pieces on your cut-apart that will coordinate with the different shapes of the inside of your book. As an alternative, if you want to use photos in your booklet, like I did, I'll just open this up here for you. You can see photos work really well in the larger triangular areas as well. So in order to achieve that, we have a stencil that we're selling separately. And you can take this stencil and trim out or trace the shapes onto your photographs so that they will fit perfectly into those uniquely shaped areas. And you can see that makes a really cute little photo album. So you can use all those different shapes on your different photos to make sure that everything fits and has that nice border on all four sides. So I hope you enjoyed this project. Thanks for joining me.